Speaking of writing credits.
So, Milkshake by Kelis was sampled, but Kelis was oblivious.
Yes, she didn't know.
And her fans...
I said, yeah, she didn't know. She was...
Kelis did not know. Her fans brought it to her attention, and Kelis did what Kelis does.
Oof. Okay.
Kelis spoke out.
Yes, she did.
And she publicly aired things out, which she likes to do.
You want a snippet of that? Should we play some of that audio?
Sure.
I have it.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Here's the first issue, okay? Number one, it's not even like I'm a human being, so I get pissed off and I get ticked off, right? I'm an artist, so I am, as Erica said, I'm sensitive about my shit. The reality is, okay, is that my real beef is not only with Beyonce, because at the end of the day, she sampled a record, she's copied me before, she's done it before, so have many other artists. It's fine. I don't care about that. The issue is that not only are we female artists, okay, black female artists in an industry that there's not that many of us, right? We've met each other, we know each other, we have mutual friends. It's not hard, she can contact, right? Ash Nico, who's what, 20? She's a young white girl. She reached out when she freaking, like, it's just common decency, right? It's common decency, especially because, as so many of you pointed out, as though I don't know, but let me help you. I know what I own and what I don't own. I also know the lies that were told. I also know the things that were stolen. Publishing was stolen. People were swindled out of rights. It happens all the time, especially back then. So it's not about me being mad about Beyonce. Everyone's like, you're all sheep. And I'm talking to the people who are obsessed and blind, just like, like, it's so dumb. It's so ignorant. It's so ignorant. She's one issue because it was stupid and disrespectful and she should have at least reached out. But the real issue is the fact that the people like Pharrell and like Chad really is like an amoeba and just, he's spineless. It's a miracle he can keep his neck up. But Pharrell knows better. This is a direct hit at me. He does this stuff all the time. It's very petty. Very, very, very. And the reality is that it's frustrating. I have the right to be frustrated. Why? Because no one had the human decency to call and be like, yo, hey, would like to use your record. Which, by the way, the reason I'm annoyed is because I know it was on purpose. This is not like they were in the studio. No, this was an on purpose direct hit, which is very passive aggressive. It's very petty. It's very stupid. And I'm going to say what I have to say. I don't mince my words. So all of you Beyonce fans, knock yourselves out. I'm not mad like that. It's not about me being jealous of someone using my song. That's the dumbest, most ignorant thing I've ever heard. Like, grow up. I was not thinking about her or no one else. Not even on No Shade. Just not thinking about living my greatest, best life, as I always do.
I just want to be clear about something. When I say sheep, I am not associating myself with Kelis. I just want to be clear. Okay.
Right.
When I say, I have said sheep before.
Right.
And it had nothing to do with the commentary that Kelis provided. I just want to be clear about that. The thoughts and views expressed in that Instagram video were her own and not those of the Let's Have a Real Conversation podcast.
No sheep were heard during this podcast.
I just want to be clear because when she used that word, when I saw that, I said, hell, I use that word all the time. And I don't want anybody tracing that back to Kelis. So I didn't play all of it. She goes on to say that
you should play the
second video.
The last video.
So just to add to my thought, here's the issue, okay? This is really not about Beyonce or anything else for that. The reality is, okay, and I said what I said, so still all facts, okay? But the reality is that this is more about the fact that, like, there's a lot of hypocrisy and there's a lot of nonsense. So we've got Pharrell, who did an interview, I think last year, talking about artists' rights and how people should be able to rework their deals and artists should be getting credit for what they've done and all this stuff. Where in reality, when I was signed to him, I had the same manager that he had, and he has writing credits on my records, okay? All my singles, coincidentally. And he never wrote a song, a lyric a day in his life, okay? And so, yeah, that's a problem. Number two, we've got Beyonce, who, like I said, out of human decency and artistry and female, just all of the stuff she sings about, all this empowerment and stuff, I don't talk about it, I am about it, okay? So the reality is, all of this female empowerment stuff, it doesn't only counts if you really do it. If you're really living it and walking the walk. Don't just talk the talk. It's real cute and fun to sing all these girls' songs. Like, come on now. Let's be real, all right? And then thirdly, you want to talk about Pharrell time? Oh, cause I'm happy. I'd be happy too if I was stealing all kinds of folks' publishing and rights to songs and all kinds of stuff. I actually really wouldn't be happy because it's evil. But the point is, okay, is that there's a lot of hypocrisy and someone has to talk about it and bring it up. And it just so happens that I was thrown in this. This is not like I looked for it. I was actually last night, I was posting on my Bounty and Full page, just doing my own thing. And then I saw one of my fan pages and someone was like, oh, that's a collaboration between B and Kelis. No, it's not a collaboration. It's called thievery because the collaboration, the definition of collaboration, it means that we are working together. There's no working together if you are not even checking to see if everything's cool. That's a problem, okay? Point is, something has to be done about it. I'm not just going to talk about it. I'm not going to pop off all the time. I'm saying what I have to say because it's true, okay? But I do think that something needs to be done. It happens to a lot of artists. It happens all the time. And I think that really something needs to change. And this just might be the fuel that I needed to actually do it. Because honestly, I try to keep to myself and stay out of the drama. But if it keeps coming to me, what else am I going to do, right?
I think Kelis is talking about two different things at the same time. She's talking about a lot of different things. But
yep,
because she spoke about how Beyonce takes her things. She mentioned that Beyonce has done this before. I don't know what she's referencing. It almost even sounded like she was referring to Beyonce in the context of not just her, but other people, which if you're not going to list people and you're not going to list things that have been done, that's a moot point as far as I'm concerned. She's talking about Pharrell. Her and Pharrell seem to have some problem between the two of them. She noted that. She made that very clear that she feels like he is out to get her in some way. But when I say that she's talking about two different things, I mean that it sounds to me like she's talking about, on one hand, she's talking about stealing people's music and intellectual property. And on the other hand, she's talking about decency and what is ethical and what isn't. And unfortunately, for Kelis, those are two different things. Whether someone should do something versus whether something is legal to do, right? And so, just so we're clear, Kelis does not own the rights to the music that was used on the song that Beyonce created, recorded, however you want to say it. And so Beyonce and her team, because we talk about Beyonce like Beyonce is the one going and fetching clearances, and that's simply not true. Beyonce's team, she is the artist, so she is aware, but Beyonce's team did not have to get permission from Kelis to use the music they used.
Right.
So Kelis is talking about thievery and no one stole from her. Just so we're clear.
She's saying that Pharrell and Hugo, that's his name, right? Hugo? Chad. That Pharrell and Chad stole multiple songs from her. There's another clip where she says that coincidentally all her singles they took her writing and
Yeah.
publishing. And Milkshake would fall in that category. So she's saying that Pharrell and Chad stole from her on multiple occasions.
Okay, so that's where the thievery part is coming from. Gotcha. Thank you for clarifying that.
You got it.
Now, but okay, we could talk about Pharrell and Chad. I just kind of want to get the Beyonce of it all out of the way, because I think it's very easy to have the Beyonce conversation and be done with it, because there's not a whole lot of nuance for me. At least you could speak to your opinion of it, but like I said, I think that it's a conversation of ethics versus legalities, and those, what's ethical or what's considered, what's deemed unethical is not necessarily illegal or wrong, tangibly wrong to do. And so Beyonce didn't technically do anything wrong. Legally, yes,
Legally,
that's the right
she
way
did
to
not.
say it. Legally, Beyonce did not do anything wrong. Ethically, it's a question of whether Beyonce should have given, and maybe Beyonce is not the person, because if it's, again, like, we can go more into the Chad and Pharrell conversation, it sounds like they are responsible for that music. And so I kind of feel like Beyonce should have been left out of this conversation a little bit from Kelis's perspective.
Okay.
Because it sounds like there's an issue with Pharrell and Chad. And it sounds like that's at the root of all of this. So to then yell women empowerment and women not supporting women, I don't know if we jump behind causes sometimes, or ideologies sometimes, in order to support our claims. And I don't know if that's always the thing to do. So she's talking about this 20-year-old person named Nico, who I'm not familiar with. Beyonce Knowles Carter, 40-year-old Beyonce Knowles Carter, who's been doing this since 2002, 2003 by herself, something around there.
Something like that.
You think that Beyonce and Nico, 20-year-old Nico, are going to function the same way? You think that they're going to interact with you in the same way? You got on the internet and you really called Beyonce out in a way that was very, I have my opinions, right, about Beyonce and the way people deify her. I hope I'm saying that the right way. People sometimes prop her up as like a godlike figure. And I have opinions about that. I've shared them. At the same time, I don't think that Nico, 20-year-old Nico, whoever that is, I don't think that Nico and Beyonce are going to act the same way in this type of situation. I'm also not saying that I don't think that artists should do things that are courteous with one another. I'm not saying that. I just don't know if I would play the women empowerment card here and women not supporting women card. I think that is a reach at best. I think that there was a different way to approach Beyonce specifically, especially if you know that you and NERD have an issue. This sounds less like this is about Beyonce than them. Right, but she said a whole lot before she even got to that. And I get being upset and being in the heat of the moment and saying things, but then to come back and say I said what I said. She didn't withdraw the smoke that she sent Beyonce's way. She didn't. She doubled down on it. And I think that's what I'm having a hard time with is I don't know. What do you think?
I think when it comes to women's business,
here we go. Don't do this.
But no, I'm going to speak to the legality and the ethics. I'm not going to speak about the ending portion of what she said or how she's trying to call out Beyonce. That I'm not getting involved with. But legally, things were done correctly. She has a writing credit.
Yeah.
She was credited for her work in the legal parameters, in the legal guidelines. All things were followed. No questions there. Ethics. Well, ethics and music don't even go together. And so it's kind of like you're upset because a courtesy didn't happen. And I'm going to give a wild ass example.
Okay.
Hear me out. This is like the McDonald's video that circulated like a month ago where the mom was upset that the dad was bringing food for his kid, but not her other 3 kids. This is the example I'm going to use because the internet is familiar with it. The man is not obligated to bring food for the other 3 kids. He fulfilled his legal obligation bringing his child food. Why his kid is eating McDonald's every day, I have no fucking clue. That's another conversation for another time. Another conversation for another time. So, the dad, is Beyonce. Beyonce is not legally obligated to do these things for Kelis. She fulfilled her legal obligation. But now what's happening is people want to criticize Beyonce for not being nice, for not going above and beyond. That is not an obligation of Beyonce's. Beyonce does not have to. Beyonce does not have to hit up Kelis and say, hey, woman, as a woman, I just want to let you know XYZ, ABC. That's not an obligation. That's not something she must do. Would it be nice? Yeah. It's nice to bring McDonald's for everybody when you bring food. Everybody likes a Big Mac, extra sauce, large fries, nuggets, a McFlurry. Nobody's mad at any of that. But that does not mean it is the obligation of the person. Everybody likes a courtesy call. Boop. Hey, Dashing D. Man, I know the other day we hung out, me, you, and your homegirl. Your homegirl's looking good. I just want to let you know I was thinking of hollering at your homegirl. All right, cool. Later. That's not an obligation. It's nice. It's courteous. It's generous. But it's not an obligation. Right. Now, here's where it gets a little weird. And this we won't know. In the video, Kelis says, "We have mutual friends. We know each other."
Yeah, well, that's if it's somebody that you know or you run in the same circles with, and you kick it with them, and you know you were just in the like it, I watch the scene play out in your head. We've all seen it on a TV show or in a movie at one point or another. I'm over here at the party. I see you. Hey, what's up? You say, oh yeah, I've been working on the album. Been busy, been in the studio. Blah blah blah. Oh, that's great. Can't wait to hear the new music. Really excited for you, whatever. And then 2 weeks later, album comes out and your song has been sampled. Pretty fucked up, right? At least it would feel that way if you were that person. So don't get me wrong. I don't think that Kelis shouldn't be upset. I think you make a very good point that if the degrees of separation are that narrow, then yeah, maybe
that changes things.
It would change things.
That would change things.
It would absolutely change things.
Now, if you said, hey, listen, every first Saturday of the month, Dashing D throws a brunch party, and Kelis and Beyonce both go to that party every month. Yeah, now I could understand you expecting a little bit of a courtesy call. Yeah. You see each other all the time. But we won't know what that relationship is. So that's where it gets a little weird. But obligation? No. And ethics in music don't exist. Do you have something else? Because I think this is a great segue for our last topic.
I guess I just wanted to circle back to I said it already, but I kind of glazed over it. The fact that Kelis has an issue with Chad and Pharrell. Is that what I'm supposed to say? Star Trek? I don't listen.
That was the production company.
Listen, like they're saying
it was Neptunes. Neptunes were Star Trek, same thing. NERD is a group that was Chad, Pharrell, and another gentleman.
So they were in that group together. Okay, but here's the thing, they're single, they're apart, they're together, they're one name, they're another name. Y'all know I'm old, and I can only keep up with the things that I can keep up with. So, but yeah, I think she's got to deal with that stuff. She sounded very angry. I hate saying that because I don't like to put that on. A lot of people put that on Black women, and I don't like to. I think when you use the word angry when you're referring to a Black woman's reaction, it's a tricky area to be in. To me, she sounded very upset. She's bitter about some things. I don't know the backstory to all of it, so I can't say that she's wrong for feeling that way. But what I can say is that she needs to figure out her shit with the two of them, because she's now talking about taking action and, you know, because she has to do this for all of the people who have been wronged. And it sounds like we haven't heard the end of this. It also sounds like if ever this happens again by someone else who legally uses her music, she's probably going to go on yet another rant. And I honestly don't like the way that makes her look. Because you get to a point, just hear me out. Because what people will say is that Kelis is bitter, and Kelis is always complaining, and Kelis is always saying things about people, and they'll completely miss the point when the point is actually important. Are you done fluffing pillows? Can you come back to the conversation now? The point, I think what she has to say is important. That's what I'm trying to say. And it gets lost when people start looking at you like, oh, you're just angry. Oh, you just complain. Oh, you're just bitter. Then people don't hear anything else. They just hear that you're the angry, bitter complainer. That's why Monique has issues when things happen publicly. It's not always that Monique was wrong for being upset, but it's that people are so used to her reacting in a certain way and often going to an extreme that makes people think tantrum, that clouds everything else that's really going on, the things that are important. That is my fear with this. And that is why I think Kelis needs to work out whatever this is. Because no, you shouldn't have to be so upset about your business stuff. Your business stuff should be buttoned up and taken care of. So go take care of that shit. Talk to your lawyers. Talk to your people. She's still touring and whatnot, so I'm sure she has a team. Figure that shit out. Sue them if you need to. Like, do whatever you gotta do. It's the American way.
It's interesting because she's saying that she was fucked out of writing, publishing, finances, all of the above. That happens a lot in music. She said, quote, especially back then, but it is still happening today.